Imagine being in a quiet morning in your apartment, but that tranquility is not possible for our protagonist. He was quite shocked because he didn't remember what he did the night before and felt like a crazy person. His name is Seo, a university student. Additionally, his concern was that his friend was sleeping in the same room as him, and he couldn't remember anything because of his hangover, not even how he fell asleep, which he saw as an accident. But when he looked closer, he realized that his other two friends were also there, sleeping. For Yae, this seemed like a big accident. Let's rewind time about 10 hours when the study session began. We are with Aeri, a university student who was scolding one of her teammates because her research was taken from Wikipedia. She asked for more seriousness, or else she would leave her with more work. However, her blonde friend didn't want her to do that and begged for mercy. John B tried to calm things down by saying she would do the missing parts to avoid arguments. The blonde thanked John for her kind words. But Nuna didn't think it was right that John was doing the blonde's work since it was spoiling her. This was something she always did. She reminded her that all their classmates in the same grade were already in a group, so the blonde, whose name is Yoso, suggested they go drink for a while to lift the group's spirits. Nuna thought the blonde didn't care about the work, so she wanted to know Yai's opinion. At that moment, the guy dropped his phone on the table. The three girls were impressed and asked Yai what had happened since he looked quite depressed. Then tears started to fall from his eyes. His girlfriend had just broken up with him via text because her mother didn't accept their relationship. For Yai, this was a nightmare. He tried to flip his phone, hoping his misfortune would stop. His denial was such that he wanted to try flying, thinking he was dreaming. The girls stopped him immediately. That same afternoon, the girls comforted him with a mini party, organizing a small gathering at a nearby place. So she asked if he felt better, encouraging him by saying that a girl who listens to her mother wasn't worth it, and that he could find someone better. For the blonde, that girl lived in a completely different world. So suggested to Yai that she help him find a better girl for the drink she bought him. This moved Yai because he had no hope of finding someone better, so tried to cheer him up by saying his ideal girl would come and hugged him so he could cry as much as he wanted with her, since she was a good listener. This touched Ye's heart, and he began crying for her words. However, Nuna didn't seem happy with all this, and was surprised when So said they should have fun all night. Nuna wanted to stop the girl because it was only supposed to be for a while, but So asked the redhead if she didn't want to cheer up Ye, given the boy's mood and the craziness he could do. Nuna got nervous, not because she was bad, but because she was worried about her work. She wanted to know John's opinion. John thought Nuna was a bad person because she didn't understand Ye's pain and his mood. Although Nuna knew John wasn't entirely sane, both John and So cursed Ye's ex all night. Now, So wanted to know what Nuna would do since there were 3 votes to stay and relax the group's mood. The redhead said nothing more, so she preferred to stay and cheer up the party that night. This was the last memory Yai had of the gathering. He wondered what they did after that to end up in the present situation. He also wondered how he forgot everything. The only thing he was sure of was that if he stayed in that same room, he knew he would die. If he made any eye contact with any of the girls, he might be even more dead. So he would move carefully to avoid waking them up. For him, bad things never end well. Just at that moment, John woke up and saw him there with them. He was embarrassed because he didn't know what had happened, and upon seeing a Titan near her, he screamed quite loudly. This made both So and Nuna wake up instantly. Although So seemed calm, Nuna asked what had happened. Ye knew that with John's reaction, the only thing he could confirm was that he was dead. A little later, after the morning shock, they went to the university. Now, our protagonist was no longer pure of heart at 23 years old. Although he didn't remember it all, he couldn't hide his expression of happiness. Of course, his friend asked him if something was wrong, but Ye denied it was anything. His friend believed him, although he knew Ye was lying. What happened that morning was exhausting, and he wanted to erase it from his mind. But also, for him, the only good thing was seeing the beautiful faces of his classmates at their fullest splendor. For Yai, that was worth it. Then he exchanged glances with Nuna and wondered if she remembered him. He felt like this could bring them even closer. But Luna had quite an angry look on her face and threatened to send him to God before his time. Yai knew it wasn't a good idea to bother her. Instead, Luna appeared embarrassed when no one was looking. But they didn't know that what happened the day before would change the lives of the 4 of them forever. A week after that day, things really changed when Yai asked June for help, and she gave him the things without making eye contact with him. Luna scolded Yai, telling him to notify her of any changes in the research or she would kick him out of the team. Lately, they fought every time they spoke. The only relationship that didn't change for Ye was his friendship with Zoe. He had heard that Luna wanted to kick him out of the team, but Zoe convinced her not to. However, Ye knew that Zoe was also acting differently. She was wearing different clothes lately, and he wondered if she was doing it to get his attention, but he didn't think that was the case. He remembered that a few days ago they were alone, but that day, so just sat on the couch without saying anything, keeping her distance as if nothing had happened. Yae wondered what he did wrong. Luna started complaining to the boy because the statistics program data was wrong, something he was forced to do without knowing how to use the program. Luna asked if he wouldn't respond, but Yae couldn't because just moments ago she told him to stay quiet. So suggested taking a break. The redhead was intrigued where Zoe would go since she wanted to get some fresh air due to the frustrating atmosphere. The blonde asked if she should ask her captain's permission to leave, which embarrassed Luna. Zoe left, asking her to take it easy. This was a fortune for Yae, since, thanks to Zoe, he could breathe for a while. He sighed when he left, thanking his luck. He was frustrated to have to endure 3 more months with Luna until the research was over. So asked about the long sigh he made, hugging him from behind. Yae was intrigued by her presence. The girl tried to cheer him up with a phrase she had read in a manga recently, but she knew the sigh came from Luna, something Yae's face reflected as true. For so, Luna is shy about it, and Yae didn't fully understand it. The girl knew Luna didn't like exposing herself to others, but reminded him that on the day of the party, Luna wanted to get his attention at all costs. This embarrassed Yae because he didn't know if it was true. Although So knew he saw it carefully, he explained that he didn't remember. Now, we must imagine what happened next, since the plot is lost. So wanted to be alone with Yae for a while, which embarrassed him, because they didn't know what they would do. The blonde told him they were going to have a mass, which made Yae uneasy because it was too direct. So insisted on knowing what he would do, and Yae wondered if accepting the offer meant abandoning the meeting. He also thought that if he skipped Luna, there could be serious consequences. It was a big dilemma for Yae until So pulled him by the shirt and asked him excitedly if he was worried about something, since he was taking too long to answer. Yae knew she was right. He shouldn't worry because he knew he would have fun if he followed her, but he would be killed by Luna later. He knew it would be difficult for So to accept after the meeting, but if he begged her, maybe she would let him do it. He knew what the right answer was. After a few moments, Zoe and Yae were preparing some sodas to drink. Yae was more absorbed in the dog the blonde had and didn't hesitate for a second to choose her. He knew he could be happy and wondered why he hesitated if he knew what the right answer was. He trusted that the research would be fine and that he should forget about it for the moment because he couldn't be rude to Zoe. After a while, both Zoe and he were having a great time. The girl explained to Yae that she used to be quite boring and didn't know what had happened to her. Yae knew that as Nuna, a student in her last year of university, was playful and loved dancing. So much so that it was the first time Tai had juice with her. Until So noticed that the boy was too far away and wanted to get closer to him, asking if he was a shy person, something she found very cute. Yae thanked the compliment since it was the first time someone had said something like that to him. However, her shyness didn't allow her to get used to being so close to others. So noticed this and decided to stop, although he was already wondering what was going through the girl's head. For him, So, a 24-year-old girl, could have graduated already, but if that had happened, he wouldn't have met her. Yae wanted to know why she hadn't graduated, and more than anything, because he heard she went abroad for years. He thought the girl wasn't shy because of that. So, at that moment, wanted them to start preparing the mass, although it was a bit late. Yae wanted to begin the preparations himself, which pleased Zoe. The girl asked if he remembered his first mass, something he didn't remember, although she enjoyed the expressions he made. On the other hand, Luna was heading back home, discouraged and confused about what was going on with her team. When she went to the bathroom and came back, no one was there. Even John, whom she trusted, had left a message saying he felt bad. Luna wondered if it was because of her, as she noticed Zoe's aggressive response toward her, which bothered her a little. She assumed that, in the end, she had been a bit harsh, and wondered if she should apologize. Meanwhile, with Zoe and Yae, the boy was impatient to start praying. But Zoe explained that it wasn't something to rush because they needed to prepare the prayers necessary to use the holy water. She tried to explain it in a way Yae could understand better, comparing it to preparing ramen. Before putting the chopsticks into the food, you first pour water over the ramen and then let it fully soak before eating it. Yae quickly understood this, making So feel grateful, as now they could start praying to their God. Yae, when he was with his teammates, one of them had preached the word of the Lord with his girlfriend, something Yae didn't fully understand. However, he thought it wasn't such a good thing, as he preferred to be alone at home playing with his pet, the goose. His friend just mocked him, but Yae started to think that maybe his friend was right. It was the first time he stopped being pure of heart, as it was his first mass. She would guide everything, sometimes strictly, and other times kindly. Despite having repeated the Our Father 3 times, Yae looked like an expert and still had the energy to keep learning. Let's recall a moment from the past when a friend of Zoe told her that a first-year student had confessed his love to her. Zoe realized it was Yae, who at that moment looked like a fool but a cute one. Now, So saw Yae as someone she could play with, but she didn't expect much from him. Despite that, Yae was fixing a drawer that wouldn't close, and thanks to him, So was able to purify her soul several times, even though she'd almost passed out from how tired she was after praying. Yae continued with energy to have a mass, and they continued their night praying for the well-being and health of all their teammates. Suddenly, Yae realized water was coming out of the closet. When he opened it, he found John crying because her water bottle had spilled. So had forgotten that John had been hiding while they were washing clothes. John was embarrassed about what happened, while So was whistling. Yae, upon hearing the girl's explanation, knew that John had asked, so if she could see them pray to God, and Zoe accepted. The blonde confirmed this, but Yae didn't find it funny. John had overheard the conversation and their plan. When Yae went to collect his things, John approached Zoe to ask if she could see them pray, something Yae considered serious. Zoe, although she found it funny, couldn't refuse because John looked so cute asking for something like that. Yae wanted to have boundaries regarding these types of situations, but Zoe didn't care much since they had already had a chorus between them earlier, and there was no need to feel embarrassed. For the blonde, there was no problem with John not seeing it again. These words made John apologize, as she had asked for something that made them uncomfortable and didn't want to say it seriously. John ran out, not hearing Yae, who only saw how she closed the door, leaving him confused. Meanwhile, as John ran down the street, she reprimanded herself, telling herself she was a fool. She didn't understand why she felt curious about something like that and, above all, why there would have been no problem if she had just ignored it. Although the latter didn't fully convince her, more than anything because she didn't want to show them that she was embarrassed. She wondered what she should do until she heard a voice calling her from afar. It was Yae who was looking for her. John didn't understand what he was doing there, but she wasn't ready to explain it to him yet. So even though Yae asked her to stop, John didn't listen and wanted her to leave. At that moment, Yae realized that a light was approaching her. It was a vehicle heading toward the girl, and when the sound was heard, he managed to save John. Although the motorcycle driver was worried, he assured that everything was fine. When he looked at John, he wanted to ask if she was okay or if she had gotten hurt, but she was just blushing. Then, Yae commented that he was surprised when she ran out of the house, because she had also left her bill and phone and was simply left without her belongings, until So suggested that he run after her to return them. John thanked him for this. Now Yae wanted to return and find out what the girl would do, because it was dangerous to be out so late. He could accompany her to the station or get her a taxi if she felt uncomfortable with him. If she preferred, he could stay a little behind, just to make sure she got home safely. Then John asked Yae if he was angry with her. But before answering, he wanted to know why she was asking that question. She generated this doubt in herself because she saw them preaching the word of the Lord without her consent, and that's why she thought Yae was angry. Before she could say more, Yae answered that he wasn't angry, which left the girl intrigued. The boy continued saying that since she had apologized and didn't have bad intentions, everything was fine, although this made her more nervous. John didn't know if it was all because of what Yae had asked if she wanted him to get angry, which she denied, but she felt relieved that he wasn't angry. So much so that she thanked him because she was even planning to leave the university or transfer. Yae reminded her that he wasn't angry, but he did want to ask her why she wanted to see him at a mass, which made John blush. Then, Yae shouted in surprise because John barely remembered what happened that day they got lost, so much so that it felt comforting to know she wasn't the only one who had forgotten it, although Yae didn't fully understand this. Still, the girl explained that the only reason she wanted to observe them was that she was trying to remember something from that day, or rather what they did that time. Although she felt nervous, she didn't think it was such a thing as a mass, and she couldn't even imagine it. However, when John wanted to ask Yae something, even though she seemed a little nervous, she asked if it was possible for the word of God to reach her soul, comparing what happened with Zoe, not knowing if the same would happen to her. For Yae, it was likely, but the only thing he could think about was that he didn't remember it. Now that he heard this, John wanted to ask something else. She wanted to know how the word of the Lord is within a mass. These words made Yae blush, and he didn't know what she meant, but excitedly John shouted the feeling for her. The feeling of praying together was important. She wanted to know what it was like if one could really purify their soul, or feel relieved when both people pray for the well-being of others. She believed that when one stops being pure of heart, it's different. Yae asked her to wait because he didn't understand why there was so much interest in this. John, more than anything, wanted to take notes for her next experience and draw. But when she said this last part, she immediately covered her mouth. Yai asked what she would draw, but let's go back to the past, because Yai felt that this had already happened before. While he was falling asleep in class, he noticed that John was concentrating on her notebook, but it was when Yai still hadn't approached her. However, he was looking at the girl's drawing and learned that she was good at drawing. When the class finished, Ye approached Yan, calling her Miss Artist, which surprised and embarrassed her. Ye didn't understand why she acted that way, but he still commented on her drawing, saying she was good at it, asking if she was drawing a button or something like that. John pretended to be oblivious to what he said. This made Yai nervous, who started explaining what he saw, but John denied everything he said. Finally, she apologized to Yai and wanted to go to her other classes, which the boy understood. However, while she was leaving, John was quite embarrassed. That's what happened because now, in the present, the girl had told Ye that she started drawing in high school and that the day he discovered her, she didn't say anything due to embarrassment. Besides, the drawings she makes, she uploads to the internet for now to make money. Although Yai saw her as an artist, she didn't consider herself one because she viewed it as a hobby. She only uploads them to websites because she likes to draw and get some donations through them. Yai understood this, and still, he thought it was pretty cool. Although John understood that he didn't understand anything, the boy still asked why it embarrassed her to draw, since he saw it as something cool. Even though he wasn't good at it in high school because he failed his art classes, he really liked good artists. So John said she didn't draw normal things, something that Yai didn't understand. John, despite being nervous, told him that her drawings were of cosplay. This seemed interesting to Yai. John, despite her nerves, wanted to know if they were quite close, something that Yai assumed they were. John wanted to be honest with him and wanted him to be honest with her. So she showed him all the collection she had on her phone, something he was already quite interested in to know if she drew them alone, which she confirmed. Yai saw a lot of drawings, but this was because John drew to de-stress. Now he understood why she was embarrassed, but in his mind, he was seeing the good use John could give it. John thought it was something perverted, but Yai didn't see it that way. However, she wanted him to be honest because even she could be a bit perverted, one who liked to see cosplays from all angles, since she thought about it every hour of the day. The girl realized that she had let out a big secret she had kept hidden for so long, and she felt like a huge weight was lifted off her shoulders. She also realized that it wasn't the same as when she drew. Still, she felt good, but with all that happiness, John wanted to know something from the boy. She wanted to know if he would help her keep all her sketches, something he would take to his grave because he wouldn't open his mouth for anything. This made John ask for help with something else, which surprised Ye because she wanted some time before her next help. Although Ye didn't understand well what she was saying or doing, John wanted to ask him something and felt she had to do it for her sincerity to be enough. Moreover, she revealed that since the incident, she hadn't been able to draw anything. No matter how hard she tried, her hands wouldn't move, and she didn't feel satisfied with her drawings. Everything she drew, whether men or women, seemed fake to her. That's why, until she overcomes that block, she wanted to know if he would help her, as she wanted to study all possible ways through Yai. That same night, at Zoe's house, she was finishing the laundry and realized that neither Jay nor John had returned, and it had been more than an hour without them showing up. So she started imagining that they were kissing like in romantic movies, although she later dismissed that idea. Also, Zoe knew that Yai had prayed a lot earlier and didn't think he had the energy for another mass. Besides, it seemed like his leg hurt. So she decided to prepare everything for when they arrived. Meanwhile, in a magical town, we see Yai taking a bath, thinking about how surprised he was by John's proposal. Although he had seen her tense when she wasn't in her right mind, he thought she was shy and quiet. Now he knew not to judge a book by its cover because John had previously not trusted anyone. But with Yai, she felt like she could be herself. Those words echoed in Yai's head, even though he also knew he was a little naive. When he returned with John, he noticed she looked really cute in the bathrobe she was wearing. She had taken it because she saw it hanging, and she'd always wanted to try it on, something Yai kept admiring. Also, she didn't have glasses on. John asked him if she looked strange, to which Yai denied, telling her she looked very good and remembering again the phrase, "Don't judge a book by its cover." John sat next to her, thinking he should say something since John had asked for help, but he didn't know what to do. Then he remembered that she wanted to learn about the cosplays of men, and he was about to say something, but the girl interrupted him, which surprised him. John asked why he was sweating, as he usually does it a lot when he's nervous. Still, Yai wanted to know what she wanted to ask him, She replied that she wanted to start by examining the chalice Yae had with him, which made him blush because of the way she said it. John was nervous because she didn't know if that's what it was called. Ye thought that hearing her say it that way was a little embarrassing. John blushed even more as she explained the differences between them and what she needed to examine, not knowing how to ask for help.